My name is Milan. I'm co-founder and CEO here at True Horizon.
My name is Tyler, co-founder and CTO of True Horizon.
So True Horizon is an AI consultancy. We specialize in leveraging n8n to drive returns for our clients by implementing custom AI solutions, AI agents, and AI strategy. Yeah, so we met, we were both working as software engineers at a company where we were interns there, actually. That's when we developed a pretty close relationship, realized that we both have ambitions to leverage technology, but also start our own company. Fast forward about a year and a half later, it's now fall of 2024, and AI and automation is just going crazy. n8n is just beginning to catch fire. There's a new foundational model every single day, and I basically phone up Tyler and say, hey man, wanna start a company together?
Yeah, no, I was, at that time I was doing my master's in quantitative finance. I was not enjoying it because it's quantitative finance. And I get a call from Milan. He's like, hey man, want to just start a company? Like, it was very impromptu. And so I left my degree. We started doing some small things on the side, and then we met Nate.
Yeah, so in December of that same year, we partnered up with Nate Herc, who's our third co-founder, and officially got together and formed the band, so to speak, in January of 2025. So we've been in business for about a year. We've done over 25 engagements, shipped over 100 AI projects at this point. We've got a team of about 15 incredible engineers and are looking to continue scaling.
I have a computer science degree, which at its core is automation. Computer science is founded on the basis of automating processes and making them faster anyway. So technically I've been doing that for 5 years or 6 years now, whenever I started my degree. But then actually framing it in terms of like, it's the word automation and AI, and you would do it in n8n low code, that probably started for me, honestly, when Milan called me about a year and a half ago. But the transition was sufficiently simple. Like I had been building things for, like he said, internships where we were automating tax processes, and I worked at a defense firm where we were automating certain elements of, well, actually I can't say, but so I would say the journey started a long time ago, but within low-code platforms like n8n, a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was, I actually remember it very distinctly, is right when ChatGPT came out, I was working on a computer science problem set. I also have a computer science degree, so the homework assignments are problem sets. And I remember my buddy just came running and knocking on my door. He's like, Milan, you gotta see this. It was absolutely insane. He copied and pasted our homework assignment into ChatGPT. Boom, starts spitting out, hundreds of lines of code. And of course, at first plug and play, it didn't work. But I think right there, I saw the potential. Initially, I was like, hey, I can, automate my homework. And that was pretty incredible. And then, as time progressed, realize you want to build more and more complex systems, realize you need a tool like n8n that makes it a lot easier with a graphical user interface by which you can actually automate processes and start to build some really powerful stuff. So, how we started versus where we are now, it's radically different. When we formed the company, again, it was us three co-founders, and we were in the trenches doing literally everything. So if you think about the life cycle or the value chain of an AI deal or an AI consultancy, it starts with the lead generation. So where do you get the prospect? How do you sell them and convince them to invest money in you and your company? Doing all the contracting, NDAs, MSAs, and whatnot, and then actually fulfilling on the work, developing and deploying and delivering an AI agent or an LLM system. And so in the beginning, all three of us were basically doing every part of that process, where it was literally from the beginning where a prospect comes in, Nate, me, and sometimes Tyler would be on a sales call. We sell them. At times we were all working on a contract, and then came the delivery and fulfillment. There was a time where even I was also in n8n or inside our IDE and actually programming the solution. And Tyler's laughing at me because nowadays I'm not allowed anywhere near our production solutions. And it's evolved quite a bit. And we've all, I think, had to kind of grow up and step into our own role as leaders of our own respective portion of the organization. And it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say the place where we scaled on the personnel side is mostly technically. Like Milan still operates the majority of the sales and the executive operations, but most of our team are engineers. So at the beginning, it was myself and one other person that we had brought on board. So we had a team of 2 delivering, at the time, 10 to 15 solutions. So around the January, March mark, we were just bombarded, and I was probably spending 16 hours a day just delivering on the solutions personally. And over time, we brought on more and more and sort of scaled down the number of clients so that it made sense and none of us were suffering. And that number's just progressed, so there's more of a hierarchy in place. On the technical side, I have a VP of engineering, and then we have, I guess you could say, project managers, and then a subset of engineers on individual projects or departments. So we went from no structure and chaos to a more organized. We're certainly not the most structured, but definitely better now.
Yeah, and I will say the way we operate also has evolved significantly. Like in the beginning, in those early days, we signed 10 to 15 clients all at one time, just a 3-man team. That was brutal. We were all just sleepless nights over and over and over again, making sure the client's happy, making sure the project's on time. And it really comes down to the way we were operating. We were essentially positioning ourselves as a dev shop, just a development partner where we don't really do anything except code and build solutions. But the reality is the exact opposite. We are a holistic, full-on AI partner, and we realized back then what we called our pre-sales process was actually a full-on consulting and strategy and scoping phase. And so now we've shifted the way we operate. We've shifted our business model to be more so a holistic AI strategy partner rather than just a development shop. And turns out that's what 99% of the market needs anyway. At one point we had 15 projects going on simultaneously with a pretty small team. And that's when we realized hey, we need to pump the brakes and really figure out what it is that we're doing here. So we decided to pause taking on new clients, ship and deliver everything we were already contracted to the best of our abilities. And in that time, really refocus our strategy, refocus how we're positioning ourselves, and refocus the value that we actually deliver to clients. And that's where the shift came from development shop to holistic AI partner.
Yeah, there was never a time where we didn't have a client, but it went from 15 to 1 or 2. And yeah, we just need more structure at that time. I think on the technical delivery side of things, we had Kanban boards and some amount of QA procedures, but nothing rigid and nothing standardized.
So my first encounter with n8n was I was developing a voice agent and shipping some projects for some clients of mine. And previously I had gone, fully bespoke custom code. And it just so happened I was just on YouTube and I came across n8n as a platform. I was like, wow, this looks pretty cool, built on top of LangChain. Seems like it's pretty powerful, pretty flexible. And that was basically how I dove headfirst into the world of no code, low code. Saw that there was other platforms out there, and basically began a full evaluation process as to which one would suit my needs the best. So was building out the same project on a bunch of platforms, n8n, Relevance, Make, Zapier, and came to the conclusion pretty quickly that n8n was the way to go.
Yeah, so my first encounter in n8n was in the pre-True Horizon era. We were prototyping something for a possible discovery call, and I had been building it in 2 other platforms, which I will not name. But I actually was having an okay time with those, and somebody was like, actually you should build it in n8n because here's a template or whatever. And I didn't like it at first. It felt foreign to me. But it's certainly evolved since then. And I wouldn't say I'm in love with the product. I would say it's weird to fall in love with the software, but there's a reason we continue to use it every day, and why I ask that my engineers use it continually. Yeah, but my first encounter wasn't in love at first sight. We had to work it out in our relationship, me and n8n. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the critical things too about n8n was the community. I distinctly remember running into a bug on both n8n and one of its competitors. In this case, it was Relevance AI, and to debug the same problem, I was having effectively the same problem on each platform. Looked it up in n8n, tons of community forums, threads, people running into the same problem, and a massive community effort that felt like it was going to help me. Wow, here are these hundreds of people that want to help people like me. Same thing on the other platform, simply just did not exist. And so I think that was a massive, compelling reason as well.
Yeah, useful aspects of the community. I would say communities like Nate's, for instance, are really special in the sense of the ambition you see. In terms of the n8n community itself, like obviously a gold mine of debugging problems. I mean, I've probably been on, if I counted, thousands of forums by now, just checking how to solve a problem. So in that sense, it's very unusual. But n8n does seem to have, as softwares go, and I've used many softwares as a computer scientist, you don't really encounter a forum where people are like happy that they're continuously using something. And like I get that. So I would definitely say like, I can resonate with the positivity that strangely lives around n8n. Probably more appropriately answered, how do we use it minute by minute? Because it is the core of our company. In terms of clients, I mean, every single solution we deliver thus far has been, well, I would say 97% of what we delivered is in n8n with some caveats. So on a day-to-day basis, I mean, client wants a solution to be delivered. And of course, there's an occasion where client demands that it's in n8n because they like the product and it's a happy marriage between us and them. But I've always maintained to my engineers and myself and my team that we build however we need to in order to get the job done. And so happens that n8n is the choice that we have made. So obviously, customer has requirements, we start building. There's probably a call every single day where we show to the client or the stakeholder what we have built with a small demo, and n8n is nice enough where you can show that and it actually makes sense to somebody. It's not just lines of code executing. In terms of, I think we personally use it as well. I mean, I've built, dozens of small automations to make things just easier for me. For instance, we live in client environments with client laptops and I have to sync calendars, and I've built the automations that actually do that, fortunately. And small things like that, just on a recurring basis where it can be done more efficient, and so you just choose to build the thing that can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the way we use n8n, like Tyler said, it's probably better counted minute by minute or asked, and how do we not use n8n? Because it is, like Tyler was mentioning, core to every single one of our internal processes, core to every single one of the projects that we ship for clients. So we've really been able to build a fantastic business around this product, going way beyond just back office or back end automations, being able to connect these amazing back end functions, these LLM and AI capabilities that are getting smarter and better every day with bespoke front ends. And in fact, we even run the front ends in n8n now. Tyler has like a nifty way to send a webhook that has HTML, and we're spinning up front ends in n8n now as well. So it's a full stack tool. It's how we operate a lean machine, and it's how we're planning on continuing to scale into 2026.
Yeah, there's not a minute in the day where someone on our team is not using n8n, probably, given the time zones that we have, because we have an Australian in our midst. So there is probably not a single minute in the day where someone's not in it.
Yeah, that's a great point. We have an engineer in Australia, and then moving, more west, I guess, we have an engineer in South Africa. We've got someone in the UK, someone in Egypt and Morocco. And then, across the Atlantic, obviously we're on the East Coast, and then we've got someone on Pacific time. So quite literally at probably every minute of every single day, regardless of where you are, someone on the True Horizon team is in n8n. So. Yeah, so one of our key engagements is with a large tax advisory software company. So they have about 6,000 employees, give or take. And Tyler whipped up a video series so that we could empower their entire staff to become citizen developers. So folks can utilize n8n within their own life to automate, maybe the repetitive and mundane parts of their work. That slowly expanded into a department level engagement that then led to a entire C-suite executive training where we were fortunate enough to run a 1-hour session, which included a live n8n walkthrough. So you can think about, it's a $10 billion company, this powerhouse C-suite, and they're all following along and building out a personal assistant agent in n8n that we ended up getting really positive feedback on, and many of the C-suite enjoyed. That then led to our broader consulting and development engagement, where we now forward deploy AI captains or n8n consultants into departments so they get embedded amongst the stakeholders, amongst the workflows and processes, and are responsible for leading the AI charge inside of that department, not only on the strategy side, but also on the implementation and driving actual results. And I think currently we've got probably over 25 active initiatives going on, again, across departments. So use cases within their sales department, within their product department, within their finance department, within their security department. Some really, really cool and interesting AI projects going on that we think are going to drive a ton of value and really position Avalara as that AI first company. What we've seen with the Avalara engagement, what we've seen across our other 25 engagements has been absolutely incredible. I mean, stunning ROI numbers. And there's a lot of hype in AI right now. There's a potential AI bubble. There's a potential overinvestment of VC into products. I think all of that could be true, and there's a lot of merit to that. However, that doesn't change the fact that organizations who can adopt n8n and leverage AI are seeing incredible gains. Whether or not VC is over leveraged is irrespective of the fact that AI consultants can come in and make a massive impact inside your organization. So I'd love to see n8n driving and taking those enterprise engagements kind of to the next level because I think the returns are absolutely there. I'd also love to see n8n continuing a partnership with True Horizon. That would be absolutely fantastic. And investing in the partner network with events like these are absolutely incredible. They achieve a level of buy-in from partners such as ourselves that is not otherwise attainable.
The game show from Max as well is very interesting. I heard a lot of ambitions of we want to do this for the community, and then one happened. And I think that is a really cool concept. Incentivizing people to learn it. But yeah, I just want to see n8n grow. I think in particular, n8n has a lot of attention in, let's say, more casual settings. But I think n8n is something that educational institutions need to know about as well. I have a computer science degree, and we learned a variety of languages, but we're in a space now where people are writing code for their homework and the like. And I think the paradigm shift should be something like, instead of generating the code that answers your questions, let's actually embed AI into the very material that we're teaching, which is enabled by something like n8n. And I think if college students were coming out with I'm proficient in something like n8n, that's I would see that as a win for not only n8n, but overall AI enablement of developers.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see n8n really go headfirst into its own AI features. So it's obviously a low-code, no-code builder. You could build incredibly powerful AI agents on the platform. I'd love to see n8n have more of an AI-first component. So, being able to come and just speak a workflow into existence, and it spins up on n8n and it debugs itself. And I know that's the direction that n8n is headed in. And I'd love to see that become a kind of core part of what it is that n8n is doing. I think the way that we're interacting with AI as it stands today is somewhat outdated. I think a lot of people are there on a ChatGPT interface and they type in, they get an output, then they copy and paste that output into email, and then they're manually checking. I think that in and of itself kind of eliminates the value prop of AI. If you have to copy and paste output directly from a chat interface. And so I'd love to see n8n kind of overcome that barrier of user experience. And I think one of the ways that they can do that is with a voice to workflow creator that just works. So what do I see for the automation space moving forward and into the future? It's very interesting. And it's kind of a abstract / never before answered question, right? Never before have we seen technology that can recursively self-improve continue to get better every single day. And I think the answer to that question is going to lie in, basically what I just said, right? Which is essentially the intelligence of the foundational model. How much smarter and how much faster are the foundational models going to continue to learn and eventually hit that singularity where they just have exponential recursive self-improvement? Because, when we get to that point, we're now discussing super intelligence that goes far beyond human intelligence, right? I mean, it quite literally thinks in dimensions that humans cannot conceive. computationally, that's what's happening when an LLM is computing its answer, right? And so I think for automation, what that means is potentially the foundational model is going to be so smart that it can just go ahead and do things on its own. It can write its own automations. It can execute its own automations. It can tell you where are the most optimal places for automation. And so I think the answer to the question really lies in how fast and how much smarter are the foundational models going to continue to get every single day. And from what we're seeing, it's an exponential growth curve. So it's very exciting, somewhat scary, somewhat doomsday-y, but I tend to be more of an optimist, and I think humanity is going to figure it out, hopefully. So
Yeah, where I'm interested to see where automation goes is we've always automated in the digital space because data is easy to play with and we control that environment, but we don't control the physical realm, or we have a limited understanding of it. So at what point will automation cross into the physical barrier, and how easy will it be? We have robots that are, relatively functional at this stage. I think there's instances where it's impressive. Like I know this company called n8n released a bot that was doing karate with their CEO, and then there's another company who are selling a house assistant, but when it goes in your house, I saw a video where it walked into a mirror and the mirror broke, and then it was burning something in the oven. And it's just we're not quite there in the physical realm yet, but what if, I could tell this chair to move 2 steps forward, or transform a building in some coherent way. So I think the day that automation starts to enter the physical realm in a coherent way is going to be a very dangerous day, but I don't, there's so many manual tasks that we do that aren't in the digital realm, like building a house. We have construction contractors that come out, they lay bricks over bricks, and it's that is a process that if it was in the digital realm, we would be automating, but because it's physical, we don't. So that aspect, I think that is the future of automation.
And I think it starts in the mundane. It starts in the, hey, every time I sign a new client, I spin up a Google Drive and manually send them my contract and manually wait for the response. I think it starts with that, right? And then it goes to the next level of, automating entire workflows, entire processes. It goes to the next level of, there's all this talk of folks being able to build one-man billion-dollar companies because AI agents and automations are, running the scenes. And then I think you get into the physical world.
You almost can't avoid using it, even no matter what you are. If you're a mom and pop pizza shop, what are you automating today, and how does that help you? And I think, not only can companies not avoid it, but it's just so helpful that you shouldn't. My girlfriend and I, we have a kind of dream for a dog park business. We own a space, and it's even that company, right? It's what are we automating? Are we automating outbound emails? How are we automating invoice processing and things like that? And it's it doesn't matter what you are, you will automate. The question is just how. Oh, and I guess on the personal front, I've done a couple interesting things. Because I've become proficient in n8n over the years, and when I turn to my life, I'm what's something interesting I can do? I remember for the Club World Cup final, which was in the United States, I had some friends who were let's go, and I was yes, but it's so expensive. So I just built a price tracker for tickets, and I would just get notifications oh, it's at an all-time low, or it's went under $200. I never got a ticket, but
The system worked.
But the system was functional, yes.
Yeah, I think one of the most creative use cases for automation that I've seen so far was actually done by one of our partners, Brody Automates, and he built out what's known as the Hell Yeah automation. Or, he's built out what's known as the Heck Yeah automation.
Oh my gosh.
Which is basically every single morning at 6 a.m., your phone is gonna automatically start playing AC/DC. So, you'll wake up to some heavy rock. It's gonna send a customized motivational message based on what's on your calendar for that day. But it can also send it to contacts of your choosing. So, you can spread the love and spread the motivation. And that's a super long automation, it keeps on going. But I think just the initial, I want to automatically wake up to AC/DC every single day is probably one of the more creative and fun things that I've seen so far.